Hello and welcome to Startup Street. I'm Arundhati Ramnan and these are the top headlines from the startup world. Former OpenAI employee Meera Murati's AI startup Thinking Machines Lab lands an investment of $2 billion and is likely to announce its first product in the next couple of months. She left OpenAI in September and launched her venture in February. Ola, Uber and drivers of other cab aggregators go on strike in Mumbai, demand implementation of aggregator rules and pay parity with regulator taxi drivers. Prices rise on taxi apps as lack of drivers lead to surge pricing. Kettleborough VC has launched Fund 2 with a target corpus of 80 crore rupees. The fund has already marked its first close at 35 crore rupees with commitments from family offices and entrepreneurs from India and the US. With Fund 2, Kettleborough VC plans to write initial seed checks of $300,000 to $500,000 and further back them up with meaningful follow-on capital. Culture Circle, a hype and luxury fashion app, has raised strategic funding from OYO's Ritesh Agarwal at a valuation of over 100 crore rupees. The startup claims to be witnessing a 4x growth in business and is currently valued at over 400 crore rupees. Deep Algorithm Solutions, a cybersecurity and AI startup, has raised 10.8 crore rupees in funding from Unicorn India Ventures. The funds raised will be primarily used to scale engineering and threat intelligence teams and accelerate GTM activities in India and Southeast Asia. Meta shareholders have launched an $8 billion trial against Mark Zuckerberg and other current and former leaders, alleging they illegally harvested Facebook user data, violating a 2012 FTC agreement. Testimonies will include Zuckerberg, Sheryl Sandberg, Mark Andreessen, Peter Thiel, and Reed Hastings. Those were the headlines that we're tracking for you this evening. But on What's Brewing today, Uber and Ola drivers and other gig economy workers across Maharashtra staged a flash protest at Azad Maidan. The drivers' demands include pay parity with taxi drivers. Rachna Dhanrajani filed this report earlier today.
If you've been struggling to book a cab via Ola, Uber, Rapido in Mumbai in the last 24 hours, then you're not alone. Because either the rides are just available or the wait time is too long, or even if you manage to get a ride, the prices are way too high. Now, all of this is because the drivers are on strike of these cab aggregators. They started on Tuesday, that was yesterday, where there was a gathering that was held at the Azad Maidan, and these drivers got together and listed out a charter of demands. Now, these demands include rationalization of fares, a blanket ban on bike taxis operating on a white plate, urgent implementation of the Maharashtra Gig Workers Act and the activation of the Drivers Welfare Board. Now, all of this was already notified under the MVA guidelines that were issued earlier this month. So, while these associations are happy with the guidelines, what these drivers are demanding is more clarity. One major thing that they're asking for clarity is about the insurance bit that the MVA guidelines came with on 1st of July. The MVA guidelines suggest that the aggregators are supposed to provide insurance to these drivers, but how and what would be the amount and how would be the payout, how would the drivers access it, all of that remains in the unknown, and which is what the clarity is being demanded for. Another major point that these drivers have demanded is uniform policy centrally and not just state-wise, because the MVA suggests that the states come up with the base fare and that's how the fares would move forward. But what the drivers want is a central policy than a state-wise policy. What they are suggesting is what the policies in Maharashtra should be similar to what it is in Telangana or Karnataka. So while they welcome the new guidelines that the MVA guidelines came from the Department of Road and Transport, but what they want is more clarity and clarification than just policy on paper.
So Rachna there with the latest on what's happening with the taxi driver protests in Maharashtra. Now, digital content company Chai Biscuit recently announced a $5 million seed round led by InfoEdge Ventures and General Catalyst. The company says this funding will power the launch and growth of Chai Shorts, a mobile-first short-form OTT platform designed to deliver premium fiction in ultra-short formats to India's next billion entertainment consumers. Designed for Gen Z as well as the rapidly growing Tier 2 and 3 markets, the app will launch with original content in Telugu and scale across multiple languages in the coming months. For more on the significance of this funding and how it will propel growth for Chai Biscuit, joining me now is Sharad Chandra, the co-founder of the company. Sharad, thank you so much for taking time out and being here with us on Startup Street. You know, if you could briefly start by telling us about what Chai Biscuit is solving for in the content space and why you're launching Chai Shorts now, you know, because large platforms like YouTube Shorts and Instagram Reels already generate massive demand for short-form video. Aren't you a little bit late to the party, so to say?
No, I don't think so. I think YouTube and Instagram at some level have made a case that people enjoy short form content. But then if you look at the evolution of content, even in YouTube, so when content started in YouTube back in 2016-17, gradually it developed into more structured storytelling. People wanted to watch web series and not just short films. So I think I see a similar pattern here. I think over the last 4 5 years or so, people have gotten used to watching short form vertical content, primarily UGC. What guys like us are trying to essentially do is bring more structured storytelling, bring more drama, bring better produced shows to the audience. So I think there's definitely merit in what we're trying to do. It's like how YouTube and Netflix coexisted in the long form space. I think Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts and guys like us will coexist.
So the market is large enough to house all of these players in it. If you could sort of, break down how this capital will be allocated across content creation, technology development, and user acquisition for Chai Shots?
So I think primarily we at Chai Shots are content guys. So Chai Biscuit has been in the content space for the last 10 years. So content is something that we really believe in. And our firm belief is that if you make great content, everything else will follow. And we see that in movies, we see that in web series, one great show, and all of us are talking about it, and we all go there. So I think I would rank content in the first place, and consistently good content, and therefore money going there. Technology, product, wonderful user experience remain to be our next thing. And probably third is user acquisition. But like I said, if I'm doing great at number one, creating great content, my user acquisition cost should be low. And that is the goal at some level for us.
Sure, and Chai Shots is entering an emerging niche, right, which is premium short-form fiction in regional languages. So from a business model perspective, what does, monetization sort of look like in the short term? Are you going to prioritize subscriptions, ad-based revenue, or strategic brand collaborations?
So strategic brand collaborations is definitely one. We've been doing that in Chai Biscuit already. Most of our web shows are sponsored as well. So that is definitely one revenue for us. Advertising is something I don't see happening in this format because it's already very short. I don't want to annoy my audience with an ad in like for a 2 minute video. I can't show a 30-second ad or a banner. So that's not done. Till we build a large size catalog, I think we will also avoid subscription. So that leaves us with microtransactions. We are trying to do something very interesting in this space with a slight twist compared to what everybody else is doing, and we are excited for that. But yeah, microtransactions will be the way to go. So, and this is the way we put it, right? Like if you go to your chai tapri next to your office every evening and have some chai and come back, how does it feel? That is the kind of experience we want to have, we want to give to our users.
So microtransactions and collaborations are what you're going to be focusing on. You say Chai Shots, which, as you pointed out, will do 2-minute long episodes, will launch in early access soon and aims to sort of release over 100 original shows in the first 6 months, right? That's quite an ambitious content pipeline. Will these be in multiple languages? What financial or operational models have you put in place to maintain both high volume and high quality content delivery at this scale?
So we are already an 80-member team based out of Hyderabad creating content. So we do have that muscle and we do have that backbone per se when it comes to content. I'm not essentially scrambling for content at this point. We do have a fair bit of strength to produce a lot of stuff in-house, which is something we've already begun to do. We're going to launch in less than a month with at least 50 titles live, everything original, cultural, made in India, made by us, made for Telugu. We do want to go into other languages as well, but to begin with, I want to reduce the variables in the equation. So this is a market we understand. There's a product that we don't essentially understand so much. So we want to start with something we know in the equation, which is the market. And then we'll start expanding into other languages as well very soon. But the plan to launch in other languages also comes with some amount of belief that content is culture. And unless I'm able to create culturally relevant content in a different language, I'm not just dubbing and putting it up. So I want to maintain that balance between having some culture content plus some dubbed content. So we will take some time to get into each language.
Sure. And, like you pointed out, in a competitive digital content ecosystem, right, user retention is sort of king. So how are you thinking about the lifetime value of a Chai Shots user? And what early indicators will you be tracking post-launch to sort of justify scale-up investments?
No, I think if I'm able to launch one or two wonderful shows that people enjoy watching every month, I think you have a winner at your hand. And in content business, that's very difficult also. So I think the answer to your question is we hope to consistently generate great content and provide our users with the best possible entertainment in this format, and that's how we hope to retain them. And regional markets have always been proving to us that they're very content hungry. So I think that's what I'm banking on.
Okay, all right, Sharad, thank you so much for taking time out and being here with us on Startup Street. And moving on, India's beauty tech space just got a major glow up. Kult, a next-gen discovery platform, has raised $20 million in a Series A funding round. The round was led by the M3M family office. With AI at its core and personalization as its promise, Kult is blending tech and beauty like never before. The goal, to simplify how Indians shop for skincare and makeup with smarter recommendations, inclusive visuals, and a curated global catalog. Joining us now to discuss this further is Karishma Singh, the founder and CEO at Kult. Karishma, thank you so much for taking time out and being here with us on Startup Street. You know, like I pointed out, you're a beauty tech and discovery platform. If you could sort of take us through what inspired you to build Kult and what was the gap that you saw in the market?
Hi, thank you for having me. And just to answer your question, you see, all my experience has been through investment banking, right? So I was very fortunate to observe businesses from a close seat, a lot of digital first businesses. But when I looked at beauty and e-commerce, and I was an avid user throughout, it seemed very outdated. It seemed very broken, right? So we don't have any offline retail infrastructure in India. It's still very, very nascent compared to the West. So as a user, if you have to decide, okay, what is the product that I want to buy, which sunscreen to use, what lipstick to buy, it would take you like hours of research on the internet, right? Because the most traditional e-commerce players have the same copy-paste template where they will list the products, a consumer needs to search a product and then scroll through thousands of options. And that is the problem that we are trying to address here, where we say that can a consumer come onto the platform without, knowing what they want to buy and still are able to make a decision. And we are using a lot of AI and personalization to enable that.
Right. And you know, India's D2C market is sort of an overcrowded space to say. So if you could take us through the firm's AI-driven personalization and what actually works behind the scenes and how do you sort of stay ahead of competition?
So I'll give you a little context here, right? So to set things into perspective, when we look at any other e-commerce player, right, whoever that be, it can be in fashion, it can be in beauty, and I'm talking about the mature players here. Most of them, when they claim personalization, they are talking about, say, segmenting their users into 30 or at max 40 personas, right? As compared to that, when you look at Kult, within just skincare, we have over 96,000 unique skincare personas, right? So that's what we mean when we say hyper-personalized. It's not an approximation, it's a one-on-one. And how that works is we approach it category by category. So it's very different the way it will work in a skincare. So when a consumer comes in and gives us a little bit of information about their skin and needs, eventually what happens is the algorithm is able to give them for each product, what the relevancy score is for this product for this particular user. Even the product descriptions, right? These are not something we write manually. These are all automated, generated for each user. So you'll see a different product description and I will see a different product description. And in makeup, it goes very, very different, where for each product, like up until now, the industry, when you say, oh, this color is a red or this color is a pink, they would approach it manually.
Right. And
yeah.
Sure. And you've raised this $20 million. If you could take us through how you're planning to allocate these funds?
Yes. So we've just finished our 20 million fundraise, like you mentioned. A significant chunk of this capital will be utilized in scaling our AI behind our product, right? So we are talking about not just one feature or a chatbot, we are talking about touch points across apps. So whether it's your routines, personalization, dynamic imagery, dynamic kits, right? So we will be able to offer a radical experience within the category. And of course, we will also be scaling our assortment. So some part of the capital will be utilized secondly for that. Our core focus is on partnering with a lot of international beauty brands exclusively. And of course, scaling the business, scaling the orders, that's one of our goals for the next 12 months.
Yeah, and speaking about scaling your orders, you aim to process 10,000 orders a day by the end of 2025. So what's the roadmap to sort of get there? And how many new products do you hope to onboard?
So currently we have almost around out of 250 brands that we have on board, we have 15 brands which are only exclusive to Cult. These are international brands. Over the next 12 months, we are looking at least 40% of our assortment exclusive to us, right? So we are looking at somewhere around 40,000 SKUs is what towards the end of 12 months we will be. And to achieve our orders, our core four fundamentals remain the same. It's scaling the assortment, which is going to be differentiated, but also a differentiated experience using AI to help the user discover, right? So it's one thing to partner with an international brand and list it on the platform, but it's another thing where a consumer can come and actually discover whether this product will work for them and whether they want to transact.
Sure. And if you could sort of take us through your current presence, what's the expansion plan on this front? Any new geographies you're looking to enter?
See, beauty in India, it's a very pan-India approach, right? So it's not like it's just the metro cities or the tier one or the tier two, right? Even though we are a young company, we've already served over 6,000 pin codes, right? So we are already present pan-India. Having said that, our current operations are fulfilled from Delhi and NCR, right? So our warehousing and fulfillment is here. Over the next 6 months, we would be scaling it to the top 10 cities to be able to offer a better, delivery timelines. That's our focus.
All right. And if you could quickly tell us, if you could take us through your business model, what's the kind of revenues that you've clocked and where do you hope to end this year?
So currently, because like I said, we are a young company, we are seeing a lot of traction. We are growing our orders every month, 100%. And for the next 12 months, our goal is to sustain this, right? So have 100% month-on-month order growth. And some of the matrices that we track, right? One of the key indicator in our business is something called average order value. Our current average order value, surprisingly, is 2,800 INR, which is way, way ahead of the industry average, which currently stands at 1,900. So these are some of the key, very encouraging feedback that we've received on our platform.
All right, great. Karishma, thank you so much for taking time out and being here with us on Startup Street. And we wish you all the best going forward with this.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
On that note, it is time for us to head into a short break. But coming up next, in a bid to boost India's MSMEs, Shiprocket unveils Shunya.AI, the country's first sovereign multimodal AI engine. More on that on the other side. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're still with us on Startup Street. In a major push for India's MSME, Shiprocket has unveiled Shunya.AI, the country's first sovereign multimodal AI engine. Built in partnership with UltraSafe, Shunya.AI is trained on Indian commerce data, supports 9 Indian languages, is hosted entirely within India, and promises to be a digital co-pilot for over 1 lakh small businesses. To understand how this move fits into its larger roadmap for Shiprocket, Aishwarya Anand caught up with its CEO, Sahil Goel.
So Shunya is India's first multimodal and agentic LLM that we have launched for Indian businesses. And it's hosted in India. It's trained on Indian data sets and public data sets. The second thing is on agents, right? Agents are important because it allows us to extend the LLM, right? So if you wanted to use it in a business case to integrate GST or make a payment or book a flight or make a web search as we do today on the other LLMs, right? That agentic capability is what gives it business legs because it can really help MSMEs do a bunch of things and literally like having a 24/7 digital employee, right, over time. That's the vision to help the smaller businesses. And then the tool also can be used for enterprises to actually help them launch workflows, automation, building their own models, for example.
How many languages currently is Shunya.AI supporting? And, what is going to be the translation for over 1 lakh small businesses that you have already?
Yeah, so I think we have 9 languages today, natively built into Shunya. The plan is to continue launching, per common use. And for the 100,000 plus businesses that already are on Shiprocket, we are releasing every week. You'll see us kind of doing some announcements on, for example, releasing an API and an enterprise dashboard. We'll be releasing a few agents, right, that basically businesses can use out of the box. To give an example, we'll be releasing agents around saying connect your Google Analytics, for example, and ask questions, right? Okay. And you will also see us focusing a lot on voice, right? Whether we do it ourselves or we partner with the industry. Because I think India needs, India's voice first.
And what role is UltraSafe and L&T Cloudfinity is playing in developing Shunya.AI, and how does their involvement enhancing the platform's capabilities?
So this joint venture between Shiprocket and UltraSafe is the technology partner. So they've had the technology to build and run and train models and host them, etc., etc. This model for Shunya, Mini and Mini X1 was built jointly.
So your early pilot has suggested that 30 to 40% time savings for SMBs, right? So I want to understand which specific workflows are seeing the most dramatic efficiency gains.
Yeah, see, I think this is we haven't launched it yet, right? Hadn't launched it yet till today.
Correct.
So we'll see as we go along the way. But from our current platform, what we have learned, like even the non-Shunya AI stuff that we had been building in the Shiprocket platform, like I said, I think voice, the ability to, let's say, search and filter by voice, right? I think will, or by typing, will become the standard user experience is our prediction. So I think that is where merchants are getting insights. It's less about productivity and gains for them because the SMEs we work with are 5 or 10 people. I don't think their biggest problem is how to operationally become efficient in terms of cost, right? I think their biggest issue is how do they grow their business and how do they get to know what they don't know.
So how are you monetizing this? Especially when we speak about smaller merchants, they're very price sensitive. So how are you aligned on that front?
So 100% built for India pricing, right? It's $499 a month, right, for unlimited usage, of course with a star. But compare it to ChatGPT, it's like at least less than half, right? At $20, which is about $600-700 a month, right? So it's pretty cheap. And also we will build agents which are India specific. For example, the first agent that's launching is with Shiprocket. Okay. Which means that on Shunya, you should be able to do all things Shiprocket from that chatbot.
And how do you see this translating in terms of revenue for Shiprocket going forward? If there's a target, if you could have in mind.
There's no target. I think right now this just came out of the lab, so to speak, right? And it will be pretty much in beta for a while. So I don't think the focus immediately is to try and peg a huge monetization target on it. But I think everyone knows where AI is heading, and everyone knows that this is going to be the way we consume information, right, going forward. There's no question about it. So us making a pretty big, foundational step there, I think is a huge indication of what we believe can happen in the, let's say, in the 5 to 10 year period.
Okay. Though I know you're in your silent period, but I'm still going to ask you this question, that you have filed your DRHP in a confidential manner. So I want to understand that, factoring in Shunya, what is the kind of market proposition that you're looking at going forward, and where will the proceeds go to from the IPO?
See, I think we have always been a technology-focused company, tech and data. Our focus now is on, one, going after offline merchants, right? Right now, we work with digital natives, right? Where we work with over 150,000 merchants, which are typical like e-commerce websites and Instagram sellers, et cetera, right? Brands, D2C brands. But what we're finding is, especially with quick commerce kind of becoming a way consumers are shopping, that even offline merchants in especially similar categories, so clothing, fashion, accessories, electronics, things like that, they are getting demand digitally.
Yeah.
And then they want to service it through like a rider, right? Which is also a kind of e-commerce. So we are starting to get into that segment. So a large part of our acquisition cost over the next, or focus or branding focus is going to be on this new market, right?
Okay.
And all the engineering effort, whether it's AI or other innovation, is continues to be our main area of investment, because as a company we don't actually, as an operating system, we're not asset heavy, we are asset less, in fact, right?
And with that, it is a wrap on this edition of Startup Street. More news and updates coming up on the other side. Stay tuned.